Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone? We're going to get started in a few minutes. My name is LeVar Madison. I'm the moderator for this evening. So before we get started, if anyone has to go to the restroom, it's right out the hallway to the left. And also we'll ask you all to silence your cell phones during the presentation so that we can get through it uninterrupted. Thank you very much, and thanks for your patience.
Just in case there's a question. Yeah.
Okay, I think
We're ready to begin. Are we ready?
okay. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
All right, one more time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for that energy. I appreciate you so much. My name is Lamar Maxon. I'm the moderator for tonight's town hall meeting, and I'm so pleased to be here tonight. As a Plainfielder, I grew up here. I run my businesses here. I really believe in strong community engagement, and it's just a pleasure to see so many of you here this evening to participate in this town hall. Now, the purpose for my presence is to keep the meeting moving in the right direction. We want to be able to offer you some rules of engagement and just some expectations so that we can keep the meeting moving in the right time frame, but also in the right frame of mind. Now, so with that being said, I have a few notes that I want to offer you all so that we can ensure that the meeting is as pleasant as we can make it. Firstly, we'd like everyone to remind themselves to be respectful. Check two. I have to switch a mic. We just want to make sure that everybody's respectful, right? So no heckling, no interruptions, no outbursts, that kind of thing, right? We want to be neighborly. We want to treat each other with respect tonight. Regardless of whether or not you agree, give the speakers their opportunity to say what they need to say, and then there'll be ample time to go back and forth with a question and answer session, which I'll outline shortly. Let's stick to the time requirements. So I am going to track question and answers, and the time limit is about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm also going to make sure that our speakers up here stay within their bounds and in their time limit. Once again, just so that we can keep things moving along. And then once we do get to that point of a Q&A, we will be rotating between microphones that you see here. And I think these microphones on either side will be moderated so that you can walk up to this area and someone will hold the mic for you and you can ask your question and get that out on the table, and then the appropriate office will respond to that question. We will rotate between questions that are here in the room, as well as questions that are presented via social media, and other questions that have been pre-submitted. We would prefer, and we ask everyone, to get your questions in. If you have a statement, that's okay. We don't mind statements, but we certainly want to be able to use this time so that everyone's questions can be answered. And there's quite a few people in here tonight. So let's just be mindful of that as we go through the evening. And if you do have any questions, I'm right here. You can pull me to the side. I will try to assist anyone that's here this evening because that's what this is here for. This town hall meeting is here for. And I think the last rule of engagement for this evening is to remember to keep it neighborly, okay? Let's keep it all neighborly. Let's get our information that we need so that we can figure out how to make Plainfield a better place. So with no further ado, I just want to give you a little bit of background about myself, and then I'm going to introduce the mayor, who will present his keynote address. And then each one of the department heads here will have an opportunity to present their plan and answer any of your concerns, but certainly to present all of their plans that they need to talk about here this evening. So with that being said, my name is Lamar, again. I grew up in Plainfield, and I'm currently the chairman of the Union County Television and Motion Picture Association. I run a film festival here in town, and so I grew up here, I raised my children here, and I'm terribly honored to be here this evening to help facilitate this discussion between the administration and the public at large. Many of you have seen me around, but if you haven't, you will see me around, because I do get around. So with that being said, If we don't have anything else, and I don't, I'd like to bring up Mayor Adrian Omab.
Well, good evening, all.
Good evening.
So, what I'll do is just take a few minutes to give some brief remarks. But before I do that, I want to point to my left. There are donuts and coffee for anyone who would like a cup of coffee and a donut. I also want to take this opportunity to introduce members of the governing body that are present here this evening. We have Councillor Terry Graves Jones from the 4th Ward, Councillor Darcella, Dr. Darcella Sessoms from the 2nd Ward, Councillor Julianne Cherry from the 1st and 4th Ward, Councillor Charles McCrae from the 3rd Ward, and Councillor Robert Graham from the 1st Ward. So this evening you would hear from department heads. They will give you some brief remarks in terms of what has been happening in their respective departments, as well as any plans that they would care to share at this time. And I will spend just a few minutes. I will focus on pilots, which have been and continues to be a topic of discussion across our city by many of our residents, by members of the Board of Education, and by others. And I think it's important for me to spend some time just talking about pilots. The department heads will talk about what's happening in their shop, and I will weigh in terms of providing some answers and some clarity to some of the issues that might be raised this evening. And so without any further ado, we are going to go to the section where I will focus on pilots. And there's a definition here of pilots, which I am not going to read that for you. It is there. I think it is self-explanatory. And so we're going to go to the next slide. And on this slide, this basically gives you an idea as to what the financials are in terms of pilots. When you look at these numbers, you will see that it gives you an idea as to what monies would be collected over the next 30 years. The city anticipates generating $1.3 million on this particular project. It shows you, under a conventional tax situation, the value of the land, the improvements, and the total value, what the BOE would receive, what the county will receive, and what the city share would be. $1.3 million. Now when we go to the next slide, which gives you an idea as to what will happen if we were to have a pilot that runs for the same 30 years that that conventional tax situation would go for. And if this slide can go up so that we can see the numbers at the bottom, that would be a good thing. But basically you see under a pilot, you see under a pilot, this is the gross pilot that the city, that would be generated from such an arrangement. It shows you what the city share would be, and it also gives you a comparison that shows you a conventional tax situation if there were to be no pilot. So I want to be transparent, and the reason we're showing you this area here is because oftentimes people would say, they shouldn't be a pilot. Why not let people pay what everyone else is paying? So you saw the first, situation. You saw the first situation where we showed you a slide where there is no pilot, the land is undeveloped, and the city would have collected over 30 years on the conventional tax situation, $1.3 million. Compared to if we had this situation here, over the same 30 years, you would see that the city would collect $63 million over that same 30-year period. The total pilot over that 30-year period would be $65 million, of which the city would collect $63 million. Compared to if that land stayed undeveloped, the first slide showed you we would collect $1.3 million versus $63 million over the same 30-year period. Now you might ask, so why would you want to do that when you could not give a pilot and have a conventional situation and let the city collect $86 million? The fact of the matter is, this is a pie-in-the-sky number. The project will never be built. It will never be built on this situation. And what we would end up collecting, if we insisted on this kind of arrangement, where the developers would not come, would not invest, we would collect only on the next, if you take us back to that first slide, we would collect only the city share would be, well, I was a okay, the city share would be $1.3 million. Now, do you want $1.3 million? Or do you want to go to the next slide, where we would collect $63 million? This is not going to happen. This situation here will not happen. The land will not be developed, and we would not be able to collect this. We would collect the $1.3 million. Now let's go to the next slide. So, the Board of Education, and this is oftentimes a topic of discussion, where people say, well, you have these pilots, and the Board of Education isn't getting anything. Well, nothing can be further from the truth. The fact of the matter is, the Board of Education is charged with putting together a budget each and every year. And the Board of Education's budget is made up, for the most part, by grants from the state, as well as revenues from all of us who are property owners in the city. And every year, the Board of Education is required to complete this form known as an A4F. You can forget the A4F and you can call this an invoice. So every year, the Board of Education is required to send this to the city. It has to be certified by the municipal clerk, and then it is sent down to the New Jersey Department of Education. And this tells us the amount of money that the Board of Education is expected to collect from the city of Plainfield, $27 million in this case. So if the Board of Education's budget is $300 million, and it is getting $273 million from the state, it comes to us, the city, and it tells us we need $27 million in order for us to carry out our operational programs, in order to provide for debt service. This is what we need from you, City of Plainfield. $27 million, that makes us whole. We can provide for all that we need in the city. That plus the aid from the state of New Jersey. Now, the idea that on the pilot, that the school district is not getting anything, makes no difference. This is all the school district asks for. This is what they must receive. We have no option. Whether we collect the taxes or not, the city must write a check to the Board of Education for $27 million. And that is all it tells us they need in order to educate the young people in our district and to provide for the operation of the school district. Their budget is a combination of state aid. Sometimes there are some small federal grants, plus this amount equals the Board of Education budget that it needs for the year to operate. So, this is what they asked for and this is what they get. The next slide, pretty much this is an internal document that shows you the money that we must collect for the county, the district, that's the same $27 million that I am talking about, and the municipality. So the total amount that we would collect to be distributed to all taxing agencies is this amount of money. Now, I go back to this, which is the school district. This is what the school district tells us they need, this is what they get. So if the school district thinks that it needs to create a science lab, the school district simply needs, if that science lab is $500,000, all they need to do is add $500,000 to this number, and they will get exactly what they need, exactly what they asked for. So whether we have pilots or not, it makes absolutely no difference to the funding of the school district. The school district gets everything it asks for, everything it needs. What if we had no pilots? Zero pilots. Will the school district get more money? No. The school district still gets $27 million from the city. We can't give them anything less. We have to give them what they need and what they have requested. So whether there's a pilot or no pilot, the school district gets this. What if we have a whole block that was raised by some natural disaster? Would the school district get less than that? No, it doesn't get less than that. It still gets the full $27 million. So whether we have a conventional taxing situation or a pilot, it makes zero difference to the school district. I want to repeat that. Pilots versus a conventional tax situation have no impact on the school district's funding. The school district gets what it needs, it gets what it asks for, and if it needs more, it simply has to tell us it needs more. So recently, the school district adopted a resolution that is sent down to the state where it is asking to have a seat at the table when we are negotiating community benefits. Community benefits are for the benefit of the municipality, not for the school district. The school district gets this, which is what it asks for. So if a school district says, oh, well, you know, we need a new playground, so why don't you negotiate for us a community benefit for $300,000 for a new playground? All they need to do is add $300,000 to this, and they get that new playground. Whatever the school district needs, it gets. Pilots have no impact on the funding of the school district. Zero impact. And we have to write them a check for this $27 million? What if we have to refund some money to taxpayers like we do every year? There are tax court judgments, people file tax appeals, and the city refunds taxpayers an amount every year from what it collects. Does the school district give back any of that amount that we refund to property owners? No, it does not. The school district gets to keep every dime. It doesn't need any more than this. If it needed more than this, it would simply send us that invoice. If it needed $500,000 more, if it needed $1 million more, it would send us an invoice for $28 million. And we would have to give them a check for $28 million. Whether we have 100 pilots, whether we have 0 pilots, whether we build 5 new apartment complexes without a pilot, with conventional taxes, the school district doesn't get a dime more or a dime less. So I want to put that to rest, that pilots, when we have pilots, that the school district gets nothing. It makes no difference, whether there's a pilot or whether it's a conventional taxing situation. The school district gets everything it needs, in order to operate. It's the state aid plus any federal grants plus this number that they request every year from us. That number could go up if it chooses to push that number up, if it thinks that it needs more money. So I just wanted to spend some time talking about that. Under a pilot situation versus a conventional tax situation, if we insisted in negotiating with developers that they can only get a conventional tax arrangement, the projects will never be built. And we would have blight all over the city, where instead of, on the scenario that I gave you earlier, instead of collecting on the pilot situation, $63 million, we can do nothing. We can let blight exist across the city and collect $1.3 million over the same 30-year period. My vision for the city is to enhance the city, bring in more revenues, so that we could be able to provide more for our residents, and not to let blight remain in the city, choosing to collect 1.3, as opposed to letting that project be built and collect $63 million. One way or the other, the school district is not impacted. It still gets what it needs each and every year from the municipality. And so I will sit back while our department heads go over what they would like to share with you, and I am here to answer questions on pilots and on anything the department heads choose to speak about this evening. And I hope that my explanation of pilots is clear to you. If it is not, I am available to answer any and all of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so that was a great kickoff. Now we're going to hear from our business administrator, Abby Levinson.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm Abby Levinson. It's really nice to see everybody in a less formal setting than city council meeting, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, there's 3 things I want to touch on today. I want to touch on our EMS services, our recreation programs, and the Smart City Broadband Infrastructure Program that we are phasing in. So to talk about EMS, this is something I get a lot of calls about. A lot of residents are concerned about EMS, a lot of questions, and so I want to use this opportunity to go over it. Okay. So response time. Response time is something that has been at the forefront of a lot of people's mind, and so I want to assure you, you may remember earlier in 2023, beginning of 2023, we entered into agreements with JFK and Union County for ambulance services across the city. One is stationed on one side of the city, the other on the other side of the city. We also entered into a shared service agreement with South Plainfield Rescue Squad. And they pick up kind of the straggler cases that the county and JFK don't get to. You'll see that since we've contracted with both of those providers, our response times in 2024, just in an awkward position. Okay, so you can see our average response time for 2024 has been 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, to put that into context, this is from the Department of Health from the state, these county results. You'll see that by county, I didn't average this out, but Union County is the fourth quickest responder by county at basically 12 minutes. The quickest one is 11 minutes. That's, the quickest one is Hudson, 10:59, they do that by a second. So you'll see that if you compare our response time in Plainfield to response times literally throughout the state, we are far exceeding what the response time is for EMS services. Far beating. He wants to make sure you really know we're really beating them. And at the same time that we entered into these contracts, We also secured grants to cover, we have a grant to cover the cost of the county being here, we have a grant to cover the cost of Muhlenberg being here, and we have a shared service agreement with South Plainfield Rescue Squad. So what I want to say is that we have really greatly increased the responsiveness and the reliability of the EMS services in Plainfield, and there has been no taxpayer impact. These are all grant-funded contracts. And really just have to look at the stats to understand that. I also just briefly want to give you some data on who's responding if you were to call an ambulance. This is data from the week of September 22nd. I get data every week from all of the providers about how many cases they responded to, what the average time was, because all of their contracts have response times that they're held to. So every week we're reviewing this data. You can see the week of, we're a month behind. Every week you see September 22nd to September 28th. JFK responded to 48.63% of the calls, Union County 46.58%, and South Plainfield Rescue Squad. It's pretty much an even split between the two. So that is who is responding to our EMS case, to our EMS services. And I got a 2-minute warning, so I'm going to quickly move along. Parks and Recreation, one of the real gems of the city, has been doing, like they do every year, a ton of programming. I want to highlight some of the adult programming that happened this year: Zumba, chair yoga, standing yoga, pickleball. There were trips to the Plainfield Symphony, Somerset Patriots. Our youth always have a plethora of sports options: chess. We had a job fair this year, dance, skateboarding. Seasonally, we have all sorts of events. Obviously, we have our Independence Day Parade, which was a huge one this year, the 100th anniversary, family movie nights, National Night Out, our pre-Kwanzaa Marketplace, and our Holiday Lights events. 2025. So based on some parents' feedback that we've received, in 2025, we are going to pilot youth soccer for kindergarten through 3rd grade. That was a parent request. And we're going to pilot girls flag football. So if you're interested, those are coming in 2025. We're also, for adults, going to have intro to golf. Although we did have a golf outing this year and nobody registered. So if you're interested in golf, please register so that we have a reason to keep it around. Our swimming, once we have the Rushmore Aquatic Center, we will have a whole new robust set of swimming opportunities available. And quickly move to the Smart City Project. Okay, the Smart City Project started this year, and this is a project this is another grant-funded project to lay fiber infrastructure throughout the city. And I'm just gonna highlight, since I'm low on time, I'm just gonna highlight what you're gonna see once Smart City is complete. Okay, once you're gonna see once Smart City is complete. So we're starting phase 2 early 2025. The infrastructure has been laid. You're gonna see free Wi-Fi at the pedestrian plaza and all city-owned parks and a few other select downtown locations. You're gonna see real-time traffic monitoring that's gonna help our police. They can't be everywhere at once. We're going to have the ability to count how many people are at any given event. We're gonna have camera coverage across the city controlled by the police department, increased lighting across the city, and the police will be able to have weapon detection using AI technology. So now that the infrastructure has been laid, phase 2 will start early 2025, and we are really looking forward to rolling that out. That's my time.
Excellent.
Probably more.
All right, do we acknowledge the rest of the questions? Great job, thank you. Now we're going to introduce Director of Economic Development, Zenobia Fields.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to highlight a few of our top projects that are happening today, and I'll be open to any questions moving forward. So I'm not sure if everyone is aware about our Center of Excellence project. This is going to be a public-private partnership where we're working with the developer. The city is going to work on a 55,000 square feet community enrichment center. So it's going to have a lot of the activities that we have illustrated here. We have a competition pool. We have a basketball court. We're going to have multi-purpose areas. We also have a cafe. One other thing that's important to us in the Center of Excellence when we say the multi-purpose areas is that we want this to be an enrichment center. So we're working with a number of our workforce development organizations. Well, they'll be able to have space within some of our multi-purpose rooms and classrooms. There'll be an artist studio. There'll be a recording studio. There'll also be green building throughout. So you're gonna see where we're gonna invest in sustainability. You're gonna invest in solar panels. We're also gonna preserve the historic character of the building. We have received a grant from the New Jersey Historic Trust where that's going to allow us to develop a historic preservation plan for the building. But we're also going to work for the construction of the building where we maintain the character of the original 1927 character that's in the building. In the back of the building where we partner with a developer, they're going to be building 240 100% affordable units. Those 100% affordable units, we're going to work with our Plainfield Housing Authority when we look to make sure that those units are going to become available to our city employees in the workforce at first come, first serve, as well as our residents that are available there. Other projects that we're working on, a lot of our redevelopment plan is really taking advantage or leveraging that we have 2 train stations. There's a lot of cities that don't have 2 train stations and have not received the designation as a transit village. We have 2 transit villages. So this one in particular is near our Plainfield train station or near our central business district. What we've identified in our redevelopment plan is that this would be the Cleveland Arts District. So what you see here is a building working with one of our partners, Think Wilder. They've done an illustration for us. This will be 140 East 7th Street. 140 East 7th Street will have roughly about 80, 84, 85 units. They're going to be available live work spaces because we want to create places where artists can live and work. This also looks at the solar panels on the top. It has some of the outdoor patio spaces. One of the community benefits that we'll have in this area is that the community benefit is going to be a sculpture that's going to be built by the developer in this area. Another thing that we're working on is we want to make sure that we have places to gather for the city. So we have right by the Plainfield train station, we're going to be developing a pedestrian plaza. The pedestrian plaza is going to make sure that we're able to close it off to vehicular traffic. We're going to have activities like cinemas on the lawn. We're going to create, if you all were a part of this summer where we had our arts festival and Alonzo Adams developed a mural. We are currently blowing that mural up to billboard size where it's going to be a 60 by 20 foot mural. We're also going to have a digital billboard where that's going to have information and we'll be able to control the content and what you can see on the digital billboard. That will be, we're hoping to do the groundbreaking by the end of November. Well, not just the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting. It'll actually be up by the end of November, beginning of December. Just to highlight too, also by the pedestrian plaza, because this is directly in the center of our downtown area where we have a lot of our businesses. It's also the location for our SID, our Special Improvement District. We're fortunate that we're seeing growth in a lot of our businesses. In the last 4 years, we've seen the growth of about 400 new businesses. In the last 2 years, we've seen the growth of 200 new businesses. We can say right now that we know that small business is the backbone of our community, and we have over 600 600, close to 700 businesses within the city of Plainfield. Other things that we're going to be focused on in the upcoming year is really looking at what we can do to create a destination for Plainfield, looking at some of the recreation and the activity here. If you all are aware, there's a warehouse over by Siler's Field. Siler's Field has about a 5-acre site. That warehouse is going to be coming down this fall. Replacing that warehouse is going to be over 120 square foot recreation space. It's also going to have a warehouse on the bottom. At the warehouse, it gives us an opportunity where we can have the tournament style basketball, tournament style tennis, tournament style pickleball, as well as an indoor fitness and wellness center. And it's going to have an outdoor restaurant that we're going to put on the top. You see on the top that it says Cheap Eats. We are still looking for the leasing for this space. So again, with economic development, we're really working on with creating destinations and things for us to do. We are also working on looking at different varieties of housing stocks that are available. We are also working on affordable housing real estate, different housing stocks. Currently, the mayor had a goal of 1,000 affordable units as of last September. We can say now that we have over 600 under agreement. By the end of the calendar year, we plan to have all 1,000 under agreement. So we're focusing on diversity of housing stocks, sustainability, looking at our arts and cultural districts and activities moving forward. And I'll be happy to answer questions later.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next we are going to go down the line to DPW and Warren Deputy.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to be here when we talk about recreation and all the different projects we have taking place. I guess I'm not fired, right? No.
Okay. So it's not DPW on my list. It says DPW. We're going to go down to Director Childress. Fire department. Sorry, put you on the spot.
Good evening, I'm Director Childress for the Plainfield Fire Department. Tonight I'm going to take you through a few slides. There's a lot of good things happening. You're going to see a lot of things. But before that, I'm going to take a few minutes off of my time. I don't tell nobody. But I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our firefighters that are sitting in the back. Vision and those things that I look at, and those young men and women are the ones who pre-fight those projects. They make those things happen. Earlier this year, we lost a firefighter who paid the ultimate price, Lieutenant Mark Cousins. And that just goes to show you the dedication that these men and women have and what they will do to protect the citizens of Plainfield, and you should never forget that. And now I'm going to take you through a few slides real quick. Fire department was established in 1926. Through those years, it started out as a volunteer department and became paid. Since that time, it's had a lot of growth and development, and also we respond to about 3,500 calls a year, and we do that all within 5 minutes. Next slide. Visionary leadership, community focus. The fire department prioritizes engagement and outreach. You see our firefighters every place. They're at every event, and they're engaging with the community all the time. Monetization. I have spearheaded some cutting-edge technology that enhances our response times. Our specialty fleet, which is comprised of 2 boats, 3 military hummers, 5 amphibious vehicles which are on order, and all these things will help protect the citizens through storms, earthquakes like we just had, floods, and hurricanes. So when you hear about hurricanes in Florida, know that we got you protected. Modernization. Pretty soon, we have drones and we're going to be putting them out there. These drones will allow us to access fire scenes from the air and provide valuable information. We also have obtained value-powered extrication tools, which allow us to get into areas where conventional hydraulic tools may not reach. Training and preparedness, ensuring the community safety. Firefighters undergo extensive training and suppression techniques, including ladder operation, hose, and ventilation. As you can see in the picture, those are actually our firefighters training for bailout equipment, which is there to save their lives. All firefighters are emergency medical responders. They went through 40 hours of training. With this training, it gives them advanced medical care in emergencies for victims. We also hazmat training. So if there's a hazmat incident, our people are trained to handle the situation. Next slide. A few pictures of different training evolutions that we go through. Swiftwater rescue. In one of the pictures, using our truck to make rescues, education of vehicles in the top left-hand corner, and heavy equipment used if there's a bus accident or things of that nature. We're prepared to handle that also. Next slide. First responder autism training. All our people have taken classes on how to deal with people with autism. We have a lot of people in the community, and they are part of our community. So we have to make sure that when we come in contact with them, we're able to talk to them and deal with them in a professional manner. Next slide. Partnerships, community engagement. We have a fire prevention fair every year, and you can see we have things for the children there. We teach about fire prevention and things of that nature. Next slide. Community partnership and community engagement. School programs. Firefighters conduct fire safety presentations at school, teaching children about fire hazards and escape routes. The department participates in local events such as parade festivals, promoting fire safety awareness, and collaboration with other organizations such as the police, emergency medical services to enhance our response capabilities. Next slide. Address emergencies with skill and passion. We respond swift, we respond with professionalism, and we respond with compassion. Firefighter mental health. Firefighter mental health is critical to ensuring their well-being and their effectiveness on the job. That's why I created a wellness program. We have a dedicated space where firefighters can go to release mental stress. They can make and receive EAP calls, enjoy aromatherapy, body work to ease muscle tensions, all promoting well-being. This program will also be expanded to include outside guest speakers who will speak about stress, exercise, and nutrition. Last slide. Continued modernization. We will continue to modernize the department. We will continue to train and develop firefighters, and we will continue with our community engagement. When you see us, speak to us, and we also have one last thing. We have non-firefighters who will be on by the end of the year. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're back on track. We'll go back to DPW with Director Orrin.
Director Daphne.
Good evening, everyone. So we're going to try this again, right?
Let's do it.
So I'm up. Okay, thank you. So you know, the Department of Public Works is responsible for providing an array of quality of life services to the residents of Plainfield. From our yard waste collection, leaf collection, which will be starting November the 1st, tree maintenance, street maintenance, and an array of programs. In addition to our signal division that does lighten up the city with the mayor's program as we move forward, to light up the city, to illuminate the city with better lighting, going from the halogen lights we use to LED. We're looking to do that across the city, but we have like 4,000 public service lights, and we're working in conjunction with them to get this done. So that's something we're working on to make happen for the residents. I guess now I'll just move to the slide, because I can talk about engineering with everything else I have involved. This right here is an engineering project, Madison Avenue Park. It's a positive thing that we're doing. It's going to be finished sometime in the spring of next year, early spring. And the reason why, because we have a lot of environmental issues that we have to address, because of Green Acres funding, which is funding this whole project. This is an Urban Park Green Acres grant that's going to fund this entire project. And this is a win-win with all other recreation programs we're talking about across the city. I mean, everything here is ADA accessible too, 80% of it. So everyone can use this equipment when they go here. It was designed, it's going to be designed that way for everyone, to suit all residents and everyone, and anyone with any type of disability. So this is a positive for us. And again, this is a grant funded project, no tax dollars on this project here. So we want to know that. Next project, this is going to be a great monster here. Our Aquatics complex. This has everything. It's going to be a super park in Plainfield. It's going to have a 25-yard competition pool with foam slide and shade structures, 20-foot diameter shade structure with a kiosk, a splash pad with components. You see the splash pad over there for all ages. New building with restrooms, showers, changing area, lockers, storage, and mechanical room. A picnic pavilion. A spectator seating with shade structure. That's to watch the competition swimming taking place. 8-foot high aluminum fence. This is going to be a positive project. This project is funded with, again, Green Acres funding, which is $4 million in Green Acres and $3 million in capital. But this is such a positive project for everyone. I think this will be number one in the state when it's all finished and done. It's going to be amazing when you see it. See everything, and we're going to add to this park too, to even make it, add a little more flavor to it. We're going to put a jigsaw playground there. It's a completely inclusive playground. Can someone switch the slide? Maybe. These are the playgrounds we're going to do, and these are completely inclusive playgrounds for everyone with any type of handicap, any type. They can use this playground where it's going to be designed. It's going to have a little more features to it than you see here. It's going to be a little bit more, but it's going to be totally, it's going to be completely inclusive, everything. It's showing Bill Campbell, but this is going to be over at Rushmore Playground. That's what this is going to be, the playground itself. Okay. Tennis and pickleball. This is going to be designed for everyone to play at different parks that we have across the city. That's what this is here for, the pickleball courts and the tennis courts. But this is just adding more recreation to all the projects that we have in the city of Plainfield. City road improvements. And you know, I got a few complaints today from a lot of folks about roads being done, but we have to do the roads, right? In order to make progress and improvements, there will always be temporary interruption. I just want everybody to know that. That's just part of how we do that. Let's say you get your bathroom redone in your home. You have to move to the bathroom, right? You're going to have some disruption. It's going to happen. Or your kitchen redone. This is all part of what we're doing. But when the end result is going to be positive, the roads will be milled, paved, and everyone gets back to what to do. So that's the goal of this. And this right here, as you're looking at some of these pictures, this is part of Route 28, which is big for us. This is a part of the project we're doing, one of the mayor's pet peeves, and I want to just compliment him for his vision to make this happen. Going back to the history of this, back in 1927, the city of Plainfield took ownership to the roads. So if that happened, that means everything with maintenance had to be done by the city. As we know, as time goes on, fast forwarding, we didn't have the funding to take care of this. So now, with the mayor's contacts and everything he did to make things happen, we're doing this now, remodeling this whole road and renovating the construction, etc. If you go to the next picture too. There's no picture. Well, go back to that picture. We can go back to that picture then. So let's stay here then. But let's stay focused, right? But the whole thing is, this is going to be redone with no tax dollars. No tax dollars. We're talking about grant funding of $13.7 million that we're getting to make this whole, these roads. And every type of NJDOT grant that you can think of that we're getting to do this, to make this happen. So it's just a win-win for everyone, and we're going to continue doing it again. In order to make progress, you have to have interruption. Just deal with us and work with us to get this done across the city. You even see roads being done by public service right now, because we want to get those roads back. And the picture over here, if you see the yellow lines, roads have to be done, and thank you, Council, for passing the ordinance. Roads have to be done from curb to center line or curb to curb. And I'm going curb to curb across the yellow line to curb, based on the size of the cutout. If it's a minor cutout, it'd be curb to center line. Because we're not taking nothing, unless it's a small patch, it'd be infrared. That's what they would do with that. I had a picture, I don't know what happened to it, but everything here is, we're taking pride in all our streets to make sure our roads are done right. Because anything that we do a moratorium, as you know, we come before you all for the vote to make things happen, because for 5 years. But we're going to assure that all roads are done curb to curb or curb to center line across the city. And this is something that the mayor definitely pushed on for us to make sure that we get this done. So this is just so important. And we have other roads that we've done too. We have another 2 miles of road that we just done in the city of Plainfield too. So we're still milling and paving our way through Plainfield to make it better for the city residents. But just have patience with us when we're doing the milling and paving. It just takes time. And we get these contractors in, we have to get those roads done. And we have to, and grant funding too, the way it's designed. You have to spend the money by a certain time. If not, you lose it. So there's certain things that have to be done behind the scenes that no one knows about. No matter what it is, with NJDOT grants, Green Acres grants, whatever it is, CDBG grants, you have to use them before a certain period of time, if not, you lose them. So all the funding that we're trying to do to make things happen where it's no cost to the taxpayers, we're just proud of. And again, this additional recreation is so positive because it just adds to the flavor of all the development taking place. All the positivity that's taking place across Plainfield. That's what just because we're good as building if you don't have great recreation services, right? And programs. So these programs add to everything we're doing with the development across the city. So it's just a win-win for everybody. So everybody knows that we're doing this, it's about the children, right? Yeah. That's the best capital investment you can make is in our children, right? So this is just a win-win for everybody. So just want to say that, Mayor, I want to commend you for your vision and making things happen. And Director Fields, thank you for everything you do with that too, because everything is positive, but everything we're going to continue to do. And it's our goal to continue to touch upon every park in Plainfield. 13 parks, we're not going to leave anything behind. We're going to make sure that everywhere we can spend $1 of grant funding, we're going to make sure that happens across the city of Plainfield, leaving no one behind. So we got plans in place for the future in 2025, 22. So stay with us, let's keep moving forward, because the mayor's vision is big for all of us. And not only in vision, I don't want to get too political, but when you have the right contacts, when we go to Trenton or to Congress or anywhere else, that helps for all the funding that we're getting, the congressional aid that we're getting. It's going to help us do a lot of things. Councilman Cherry, when we want to do the detention basin over at Mill Campbell, we want to expand that. That will help reduce flooding in the area with the money we get. And this is all because of the contacts we have across the country to make things happen in the city of Plainfield. This town is known because of the work of Eminem and Matt. So I'm just saying, I want everybody to know this is positive. This is just a positive. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for everybody. So.
Thank you very much. right about now, we're gonna go right down the line to social services and Director Shep Brown.
So how do I follow that? So I like these opportunities because I get to talk about a department that most people don't know about. Most people don't recognize the Department of Health and Social Services, basically because 44 individuals, men and women, who are very quiet in the work that they do. So when we look at the slide for the pools that are coming, it's my department that inspects those pools so that the water is healthy and at the appropriate pH level so that our children can swim in. Those are the kind of quiet things that we do as a department. Last week, we were at the Pemberton Area Block Association. And when I started talking about all the things that my department did and all the statistics that came out of my office, they started kind of glazing over. So I'm not going to do as much as that. I am going to talk about my 5 divisions because I'm very proud of those 5 divisions. And those 5 divisions are PPAC, which is the Plainfield Performing Arts Center, the Division of Community Development, the Division of Health, the Division of Social Services, and Division of Community Development. And they all do distinctly different things, but our overwhelming belief and our core value is the wellness of the city of Plainfield and the wellness of the residents of the city of Plainfield. But I'm going to highlight, to make it quick, I'm going to highlight 2 particular units that bring joy, right? A lot of the things that we do is about vaccinations. A lot of things that we do is about inspections of restaurants, inspections of stores, mold and lead inspections. And if I start quoting those numbers, we're going to lose you. So I'm just going to talk about the joy, the pure joy that some of the programs that we do. And the first one is our social services. And if you look at that picture, there's 3 things happening there. One, we have our WIC table, which is women, infants, and children. I'm sorry, that was my 5th division. And they do foundational work. They take care of the babies in our town so that they can grow up to be healthy children and healthy adults. And that could be with making sure that they have the appropriate formula, that they have nutritional education and access to fresh vegetables. We do all of that, and it's only about 7 people that do it. We have about 36,000 footprints. Now that means that an individual like Shep Brown has been in that office about 10 times in any given year. So you multiply that by how many people come to that small office. Our impact is large, but it is very quiet. And our impact makes sure that the city of Plainfield is healthy. Also in that picture, you'll see the mayor with high schoolers. That was one of our mayor's initiatives, Mayor's Wellness Program. And it's a grant program. And one of the exciting things is we talked about mental health, and we had different programs. We partnered with the school district, we partnered with other community events, and we talked about mental health. We showed what mental health was like. We listened to our kids, we listened to our community, and we kind of just started the conversation around healthy mental health, right? We talked about what it is to talk up and talk out when you are having challenges. And often in our communities, we don't do that. While we can listen to it on the news and the demands for people to talk about mental health, we don't do that in this community. And so this is why this was important, and that's why we wanted to make sure that that picture was shown. Also, at the bottom right is a program that we have where we give out newborn equipment, newborn supplies to our community. And so if you are in need, we provide food, we provide all those kind of things. And so we're really excited about that. The next slide, I believe, is the Plainfield Senior Center. Yeah, it's just party down there. And what's so exciting about that? These are our elders. These are the individuals who have spent years just making sure that we can be in these seats, right? And so we provide the opportunity for them to have a rich life in this chapter that they're experiencing. And so I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure if this is not the prom. This is one of our meetings. Yeah, we have a senior prom, we have senior Thanksgiving, we have senior holidays, and all of these things are to let our seniors know that not only do we love and care for them, but that there's a place for them that is safe, that they can spend part of their days and experience wellness. So we have nurses, we have doctors, we have barbers, we have beauticians coming in. We have, I'm forgetting all the programs, we have dance, we have poetry, we have all those programs that make a senior citizen center vital. Now, one of the things that we are pursuing is national recognition. And I think that we've ticked off most of the boxes to become nationally recognized. And that means that we are one of 10% in the nation to be a senior service center that's provided all the services to our seniors in this small town, right? And so that's really exciting, and that's one of our plans. We will continue to make sure that we expand. We have experience both in that center. One of the things that we found really successful is we're taking really exciting trips. The seniors are planning them. They're having a good time down there. And if you know someone who's over 60 or really 55, but who's looking for, who really is 55 to be a member, come on down. We really have an amazing time down there, and it's a community. If you've never been down there, please come down and visit. It's a community of our community elders who get together and just are having a wonderful chapter in their lives, and it's really important. Now, what I'm most excited about is the Plainfield Performing Arts Center. We acquired that building in 2019. It was a gift to us, meaning the city of Plainfield. It was negotiated by the mayor. And the whole goal was to create an environment where arts and culture can grow. It has turned into, we went through COVID, so we had to shut it down, but it has turned into a gem of Plainfield. It has really triggered the rebirth and the regrowth of arts and culture in Plainfield. I'm not saying it didn't exist, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but it is part of that world where we are seeing a lot more performance come to Plainfield, a lot more artists come to Plainfield, and it's really an exciting period. So in that picture, you see what we call a Sunday with Steinway. And a Steinway is a piano that was donated to the city of Plainfield. And if you see the room, we have officers there, we have open mic, I'm getting a minute, okay. Because I can really talk about my department because I'm very proud of it. But I'll just sum it up. One of the things that the Department of Health is we do some serious work. I mean, we are not out there looking for attention. We do the work to maintain health in the city of Plainfield, to maintain the wellness of the city of Plainfield. And then we have things where we have fun, which is the Performing Arts Center or the Senior Center. Those are what makes up the Department of Health and Social Services. Thank you.
For the Police Department, Director James T. Avenue.
I'm always different, so I'm going to stand up. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. All right. I got props and everything. First slide. Is it up? Can you go to the next one? All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm James T. Avenue, Police Department. Plainfield Police Department is working very hard to make Plainfield, New Jersey, the city of choice for individuals who live, work, and play. As you can see, in our city, we didn't get the finance yet, and I'm going to give you a few statistics here because I think they're very important. As you can see, over the past year, all right, violent crime in the city of Plainfield is down 25%. That is extremely important with a town of this nature. Okay, the Irvingtons, the East Orange, these other cities, they cannot beat what the men and women of the Plainfield Police Department are doing. That's this year. Now, overall crime is down 4%, but violent crime is down 25%. Those are the crimes where people are harmed, where they're injured, where they're hurt, where they're killed. Now, on wood, last year we had 1 murder, manslaughter issue, we had 0. And it is basically October. Go on to the next slide. All right, now this is a comparison since Mayor Mapp, right before he became in office. This is from 2023 to now. All right. Violent crime in the city of Plainfield in comparison from 2013 to 2024 is down 52%. Violent crime in the city is way down, and like I just said, it is attributed to 3 things. One is the men and women of the Plainfield Police Department and their hard work. Now, I would like to take credit for all of this, but I can't. It's really them doing what they have to do, but it is also the citizens in our city, okay, as they have decided to assist the police department in making our community safer. The third party is the mayor, his administration, and all of these young men and women who sit up here that I work with every day. Anytime I call them and need any help with anything, they're always there for me. If I need grant funding to buy things such as the mobile command center, the new one, the mobile precinct that we're putting in the downtown area to drive front down there, I called Sylvia Fields, she helped me out, we were able to take care of that at no expense to the taxpayer. These are the things that we do as we work with each other to improve all of the services that we provide to the citizens of this great city, okay? Now, but it's not about all our statistics. The police department is not just here for the community when we call 911. We are a part of the community. Next slide. Keep going. All right, our community engagement. We take pride in being a part of the community. Whether it's the award-winning Queen City Mentoring Academy, which you can see up here on the slide, which is recognized throughout the state for the work that we do. Most cities only provide maybe a week of mentoring or a camp for children. We don't do that here. This is a 5-week camp that the children pay nothing for. And that's another thing. In most towns, they have to pay for these services. They pay $100, $200, $300 a week. But we have citizens here who can't afford to pay $100, $200, $300 a week for their children to have a productive camp to go to. The city of Plainfield, through the mayor's vision and through the police department, we offer a 5-week camp that is free of charge to these young people. We take them all throughout the state, we take them over to New York, we take them all around and provide them with fantastic experiences that they will remember for the rest of their lives. That's one thing. Other thing is the National Night Out program that we have. Thousands of people come to City Hall on the second Tuesday in August, the second or first Tuesday in August for National Night Out. The real name of it is National Night Out Against Crime. It was started in Plainfield many years ago by Elizabeth Urquhart, a former councilwoman who has now passed on, may she rest in peace. She saw the vision to start this program in Plainfield with a few people. Now it's thousands of people who come and party and hang out with us for an evening and celebrate our police community partnerships. Thirdly, and this is on the same slide, is something that we just started. It's called Faith in Blue. It happened a couple of weeks ago. It's a project that, once again, all of the cabinet members assisted with, okay, the Rambar Community Policing Unit. It was headed by Sergeant Thea, who's actually sitting here in the audience. It is a community-based program where we reach out to faith-based leaders, and we feel that working with them through the police department, we can provide better outreach to the community, and we can provide better services to our citizens. This is all part of what I said. The police department now is a part of the community. We're not apart from the community. We are a part of the community because we believe in the community and what we are doing to make this city safer. Last thing, my problem. This is the newest initiative by the police department. And it's really a nod to the department's past. The Plainfield Police Department is announcing our Neighborhood Watch program. Beautiful signs such as these will be strategically placed throughout the community, warning potential troublemakers that you are being watched and that all actions will be reported to the police. Now, many years ago, the PD, I think it was under retired Captain Sadiq El-Amin, had a neighborhood watch program that was successful. There's an old saying, everything old is new again, and that's what this is, okay? The advent of ring and blink cameras, as well as cell phones, give residents an edge over criminals as we pool our resources to ensure the safety of our properties. We've been doing a great job, if we go back, I won't even go back to that slide. We've been doing a great job of protecting persons. Now it's about protecting your property and your belongings. That's what this is about, okay? You see the sign? It clearly says, notice Neighborhood Watch, Plainfield Police. Report all suspicious persons and activities immediately to the Plainfield Police Department. The whole line, if you see something, say something. Please call 911. And I'll take a quick moment to say this. A lot of times we get calls in regards to different things. Well, we don't get calls, we get emails from citizens in regards to things that are going on in neighborhoods. Please don't do that. Pick up the phone and call the police department so we can act on your concerns immediately. Sending emails to myself or to council members or to other members of the cabinet will not bring resolution to your issue. If you get us involved quicker, we can solve these issues quicker. All right? Now, there's one more slide here, the Neighborhood Watch Program. What we're talking about is as the next few weeks go on, this is something that we are going to initiate before the holiday season comes. First step, recruit and organize as many games as possible. Second, contact your local law enforcement agency to schedule a meeting. Third, discuss community concerns, develop an action plan. Fourth, create a communication plan. 5, take action, hold meetings and events. These are not programs that are going to be run by just neighborhood groups. It will all be ran through the police department, through the community policing unit, with the assistance of our criminal investigation unit, because those two units have to work hand in hand as they deal with issues involving your property, if you understand the buy-in. This isn't a thing for residents to form groups, maybe go out, feel that they have to do things on their own. No, there's a complete program that we will train any of our neighborhood groups, any of our block associations, anyone who's looking for this type of program. Please contact my office at the police department, and we will begin to set things up for you. With that, that's it on my presentation. Thank you.
So certainly, last but not least, is Solid Waste and Sewer Director John Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say I'm John Lewis. I'm the Director of Sewer Solid Waste. And we heard a lot of great programs tonight here. They put me last. But there's one program that everybody's familiar with and uses every single day, and that is the sewer solid waste. You'll be using this. I'm here, I'm going to make it real brief because I know we want to get a Q&A going, but there's a lot of equipment and infrastructure upgrades that we were able to start off with the mayor and council support. There were several CIP programs that were approved. And so I just want to let you know that the money's being well spent. The benefits of upgrading our aging equipment is reliable scheduling. When we first took over the former PWA, that was the biggest complaint we got, was that people weren't getting their services that they were paying for, and they weren't getting reliable services. We really don't get calls any time now, because we are now reliable. Our schedule will be met because we have this equipment. Employee safety. This new equipment has the latest technology to keep our employees safe and better fuel efficiency. It's got all the latest technology to get the biggest mileage for our fuel as we possibly can. The police director and the fire director talked about, at least the fire director did, about preparing for major storms. As you see in Florida, solid waste takes many shapes. They're in a phase where they're picking up a lot of household items. And so they stopped picking up what we call Type 10, which is regular garbage. This new equipment prepares us for these weather events. We can change our operation because the equipment that we buy, is got many different facets where we can change at any time depending on the need of the community. It also provides a professional environment for our workforce. I mean, when you're in an older garbage truck, you know how you feel. So when you're in a new piece of equipment, it makes you feel better. And it's an employee appreciation. It makes the employee feel like they're valued. So I want to thank the mayor and the council for investing in that equipment. Infrastructure upgrades at the transfer station. There's a lot of activity going on. We have a new scale going in. We have a renovation to our collection building, which is a large building where most of the debris ends up. We have a brand new fueling station, and this is new, it was never there before. And again, this is going to prepare us for a major event. A lot of times when the weather events hit, fuel is at short supply, so this gives us the flexibility to be able to continue to operate for many, many days if there's a fuel shortage. We also have a large building going in. This is a building that's going to house our large transportation trailers. Currently, they're stored outside, so when we get inclement weather, the water goes into those trailers and the liquid comes out, and the DEP definitely doesn't want to have that, and we don't want to have that. So we're excited about getting that new building up. And of course, the road surfacing and traffic markings throughout the facility. On our sewer utility end, we're starting our Watching Avenue pump station renovations. This is an older building. It's way past its renovation life. It's a $2.5 million project, and it'll help us service the community that uses it in that area better. And I want to talk a little bit about illegal dumping real quick. Illegal dumping, we've seen a small increase in illegal dumping in the city. So these are some of the measures that we're taking to reduce or eliminate illegal dumping. Increase disposal options for the community. For those that have not come to the transfer station or have visited the transfer station, we have reduced rates for Plainfield residents. So what that means is if you live out of town and you come to our facility, you pay $135 minimum, whether you have 5 pounds or 2,000 pounds. Your rate is $135. For Plainfield residents, it's $120. However, you're allowed to pay by pound. So if you have 1 or 2 small items, your transaction may only be about $5, $6, depending on the weight of the items. So it's a big plus to have to be living in Plainfield. We also added Saturday hours. This would help. Some people are working all week and don't have the luxury of coming down to see us during weekdays, so we are offering Saturday hours so they can drop off items that they need to dispose of. There's a lot of free items that, items that they can drop for free at the transfer station. For example, electronic waste. You got a new TV, you want to get rid of the old one, or computers, we take those free of charge. Motor oil, free of charge. Cooking oil. This is something new we added. Some people have a party over the weekend and they have 2 or 3 gallons of oil. They had a fish fry. I wasn't invited, so hopefully next time. But you can bring the cooking oil down to us and any leftover fish that you make. So this is why they put me last. Reusable bags. Even reusable bags have a shelf life. So when they're reach the end, you can bring those down. We put them in, and they get recycled back into new reusable bags. And of course, clothing donation drop-offs. We also started a community outreach program where we've had several events throughout the city where we partner with community groups. And I tell you, the last one we had was, I think, the second week of October, and we had several groups. We had over 100 people. And we even had a group from Linden and a group from Westfield show up, which I thought was pretty nice of them to come out and volunteer here in the city to help us keep it clean. We also have, as part of this outreach program, as we do these cleanups, we do them in areas where we see a higher rate of illegal dumping. And there's a reason for that. Well, one, we want to introduce ourselves to the residents in that area and let them know all the options they have to dispose of those items. Because sometimes it is coming out of the houses that are there, and we want to let them know that they don't have to do that, to resort to that. There is other means that they can dispose of it. And the other thing is to be a partner with us. I mean, we can't do it alone. If you see something, as the police director always says, say something. So if there's someone that's not doing the right thing and they notice that, they can call anonymously, and we can at least pay a visit to that location where we can, again, offer our services. And if they don't want to comply, then of course, law enforcement have to be involved in that. We also have an inspector that drives the streets on a regular basis, and he's out there, and she's out there to notice if there's any illegal dumping. For one, to identify quickly. Sometimes it's in front of the house that the people in the house put it out there, so we notify the property owner and work with them on ways that they can dispose of it. So we try to keep our areas clean and get ahead of, spotting this stuff, waiting for someone to call us. And also, our bulk disposal. So, any person that's using our services, it's 2 pickups per year. In addition to those 2 pickups a year, and that's to dispose of household items like couches and mattresses and things like that. We also have an on-demand pickup for people that need it done like tomorrow or right away. They can call, and there's a fee with that, but again, we're trying to meet the needs to get those items out. And then we just started this single item option. Residents can call, and they may have 1 or 2 items that they want to dispose of, they don't have the truck, they can't get it down to the transfer station. So we work with them to have those items removed. So again, we're taking an active approach with the illegal dumping. We still see it out there, but we're going to continue to do the outreach. And that's about all I have tonight. Thank you again for inviting me. I really appreciate it. So.
And that concludes our presentations for now. You'll all have an opportunity to have questions and answers shortly. And then afterwards, a few brief moments of interface with any of the department heads as we exit the building. So now we'll start the open floor for the community portion of this meeting, which means you get to ask your questions now. We're going to keep, I'm sorry. Okay. We'll keep the process to 30 to 40 minutes, hopefully closer to 30, because I know it's been a long day for everyone. So you'll see that there are 2 microphone stands here in either aisle. Those microphones will be moderated. So you can ask your question as the aide holds the mic. Deliver your question within 2 minutes, please, and then we will direct that question to the appropriate department head. And we would ask you to limit it to a question. Try not to make a statement, but we understand if you have to make a statement, that's okay. And also try to keep it to the topics at hand. Okay? And if anyone has any questions, please pull me to the side. You've seen me standing here all night. Don't be afraid to approach me. So, do we have any questions in the audience? Let's start with the audience, and then we'll move to written questions, and then also questions from social media. Ma'am, please step forward. State your name, and then ask your question.
I live in Leatherwood Heights. I have a question. Being that all of these new apartments are going up, what is going to happen with parking? Because we have already had an issue before with people from the train station parking over there. We kind of got that cleared up now. Now what's going to happen when the residents move in and there's nowhere for them to park? It's going to be an issue because over there is a long road, it's narrow, and that overflow traffic is going to come down to us. Sure. And part of it is permit parking, so how do we go further with the permit parking to eliminate this problem?
So we've been working on a residential permit parking system, so making sure that in addition to the parking that's allowed for the apartments, but if you're a long-time resident and on your street, so you will be given permits for in front of your street for that purpose. Everyone is gonna be able to have a decal. You'll also be able to sign up for a parking permit. So we're working on making sure that we're deploying that system coming up. That came out of our parking system management study. So we recognize that we need to support the parking for our long-term residents.
Okay. We have a question that was submitted earlier, and I'd like to read that. And this question is for Mayor Mapp. Mayor Mapp, can you name 3 community benefits the municipality has recently received from pilots?
We do negotiate any amount for the purpose of community benefits, and those funds are used for any number of purposes. My economic development director will give you some of the uses of those community benefits. It's not one item that is funded by those benefits, but it's several items that we use for those community benefits. But they're all used for the benefit of the community. And Economic Development Director Zenobia Fields will add more to that.
Sure, we have 6 different categories for our community benefit agreements. The first one is education, the second one is recreation, the third is health and wellness, the fourth is arts and culture, the fifth is streetscaping, the sixth is general funds. We've been able to take advantage of all 6 categories. For education, we had a particular one on South Avenue where one of the community benefit was the actual purchase of computers and laptops for students for the school board. Another example of the recreation is something that Director Dabney mentioned earlier. We have a community benefit where they can contribute to the park equipment. They can also do the creation of something where we're looking at in the future for a dog park, for example. Next one is looking at health and wellness. That's also included because it was workout equipment and looking at things there for hosting it. The next one, looking at arts and culture, I mentioned about the one that we had in our arts and cultural district, where they're going to be donating actual sculpture. Another one, they're going to be creating a mural. Another community benefit, looking at streetscaping. You may see anything from the street furniture, so benches, you'll see lights, you'll also see planters. These have been a part of community benefits. And general fund allows us to build things like the Center of Excellence, where there was over a $400,000 contribution in community benefit to the construction of the Center of Excellence.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a question from the audience again, gentleman right here.
Okay, thank you very much.
State your name, please.
My name is Frank Edwards, I'm from the fourth ward. You know, like the young lady talked about parking, right? And I just want to know, when you're talking about the residential parking, is that one of the top priorities? Is that like in the making now? When will it happen? Because I know we talked about other things that are kind of linked, so that's my question.
It is one of our top priorities, so if you're looking at timing, we hope to work on it early next year. Right now, what we're working on is the deployment of Park Mobile, but we need to make sure that we have the zones created for the residential parking, and we're clear on how many parking permits that we're going to give out per household distribution.
So ask the question that you have.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So the other question is, right, I live with, I'm a senior citizen myself, but I have a mother-in-law too. And we have 2 handicapped vehicles. So is there anything such as a handicap sign that you can put in front of your house for parking?
The police director will answer that.
Yes, sir, there is, but there are stipulations for it. One, you cannot have a driveway. If you have a driveway associated with your property, it's not basically by state law, but it's just the way that it always has been, you are not allowed to have a handicap placard put in front of your house if you have an active driveway. That's the biggest thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have another question in the room, right here. Ma'am, state your name and ask your question.
June here. I thank those that ask about parking, and I commend you on all the projects that you have going on. My concern is parking also, but you kind of answered that. Also, the question is in traffic. I live on Johnston Avenue, the 100 block, and they fly through there. They fly through there. I see those strips that they have, or bumps or whatever. I don't know how to go about that, or who I should speak to about maybe getting something like that on my block. And also, there is a problem that we have on that same block with, I don't know if you would call it illegal, but they have outdated stickers for, on their vehicles, and they've been parked for a month. I've called to, see what can be done. It takes a while before those cars are removed. So, is there anything that we can do? They said they would send the car out, but I see the vehicles are still there.
So I'll take the first part, and the police director will take the part about the stickers on cars. Anyone in the city who needs a speed hump on his or her street, they should put that request into us, into the administration. Now, it doesn't mean that every request will be granted, because we have to be guided by the regulations of the New Jersey Department of Transportation. And in order to qualify for a street to qualify for a speed hump, the average daily traffic must be less than 3,000. So if you have 3,000 or 3,001 vehicles, traversing that street on a daily basis, we cannot put a speed hump on that street. So the first thing we do when a request is made, we conduct a study to determine whether or not it meets the requirements under the New Jersey Department of Transportation. And if it does, you can rest assured, speed humps will be installed on such a roadway. Direct Cabinet.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, you said you live in the 100 block of Johnson Avenue?
Yes.
I'll have cars out there checking on those vehicles tomorrow.
Thank you.
And if they are what you said, they'll have stickers on them tomorrow, and in 48 hours, they'll be towed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
I'm
thank
gonna go
you.
to the Facebook questions now. We have one that's a comment, says the park on 4th and Monroe needs to be redone, so I'll go to another Facebook, that's just a comment.
That was on my list.
Then we have, you may have seen me and my husband before, we had to leave the in-person meeting earlier. I was the one with the black eye and the bloody gash along my eyebrow. On Sunday morning, while out for a walk, I tripped and fell on a piece of broken sidewalk in the Van Wyck Brook section of Plainfield. Blood was pouring out of my head and I needed to be rushed to the ER where doctors ordered CT scans of my head, spine, and skull. I had to have a tetanus shot and a stitch and have missed 2 days of work so far. The sidewalks in Plainfield are in a state of great disrepair. It is my understanding that these walkways need to be maintained by the property owners, but that it is the city's responsibility to enforce the maintenance of them. Speaking to long-term residents of the city, I know that this problem has not been addressed for decades, apparently due to the city not wanting to alienate voters by enforcing fines. However, this is a health and safety issue. I would like to know what you intend to do to remedy this problem. Voters who are victims of these treacherous sidewalks will be alienated by not addressing the issue. I was going to say that when we just talked about community benefits, we talked about streetscaping, which is something that we often are looking for grant funding for. We actually just passed a resolution to do streetscaping over on Church Street. And we're looking to help residents in the event that they're not able to repair. But I will let code enforcement and the mayor speak on the enforcement.
So, again, if you see something, say something. If you see sidewalks that are in a very dangerous state of disrepair and they're brought to our attention, we will address the issue. Due to lack of resources, we don't necessarily go down every street Plainfield inspecting sidewalks. But you're correct, it is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain the sidewalk. Now, when we get grant funds to repave roadways, included in the criteria or the requirements for us obtaining that grant is that we need to redo the curbs and the sidewalks. And so that's the only time that you see sidewalks being done, is because it's grant funds. But we will make the best effort we can to take a look at as many sidewalks as possible and have conversations with the property owners so that they can maintain those sidewalks as they are required to have to do. And I really must apologize to the person who suffered an injury as a result of that. And if there's anything that we can do, please stop in at City Hall, give my office a call. We would gladly like to sit down with you since you had to leave the meeting early on that occasion. But we want to address all of these issues, and resources oftentimes are a challenge.
Just to add to what the mayor is saying, we definitely depend on the partnership of identifying the locations. Several of our council members often bring us photos and actual addresses of the locations. So we're asked that you continue to reach out to your council person with that. Also, the mayor mentioned if you see something, say something. Located on our webpage, there's a reported app. That reported app, you can actually enter in the location and we will get the email immediately and it will be on our list. If that doesn't work for you, you are also welcome to email me directly, which my email is on the website, and we will have an inspector come out to that location.
Okay. And it has nothing to do with elections or voting. Absolutely nothing.
Thanks for clarifying that. We do have another question submitted from online. I'm a Plainfield resident for over 20 years and have these questions. Are there any plans to diversify the restaurant offerings in the downtown area to include restaurants that are not majority Central American? It seems like we have a diversity in terms of racial and ethnic makeup of our town, but the food options in business don't truly reflect that diversity. Can we be more like Cranford or Rawway downtown? The second part of that question is, are there any plans to redo the street paving of West 8th Street? Will that block 2 be getting speed bumps? And thirdly, are there any plans to renovate or reopen the movie theater? That's from Tracy Jones, resident.
Starting with the restaurants, we are working on making sure that we're working on retail attraction and recruitment. That includes coming in the next 14 to 18 months, located in the municipal parking lot 6. We have a development there. Delta's restaurants will be located there. We are working on attracting diversified restaurants to our area to build on. We have a very healthy restaurant community. So we're looking at this through a market analysis study. So the next part of that market analysis study is really making sure that we're listening to what people want, including the different types of restaurants that are going there. In terms of the movie theater, we're not necessarily working on a movie theater, but we are working on a live performance theater to build off of what Director Brown has with the Plainfield Performing Arts Center. We're looking for the future construction of a 300-seat live performing arts theater, and I'll let my other colleagues respond to this.
I think the question was about West 8th Street, right?
Yeah, the question was about paving on West 8th Street, and will that block 2 be getting speed bumps?
Well, the speed bumps we'll have to do a traffic study for. However, in terms of the milling paving and the construction work, that will start next week. And that'll be for the concrete work. That'll be the first week, and then the second week we'll start the milling and paving. But all concrete work will start next week.
Fabulous. Thank you. Question in the back.
Burn Barrett, Bell Avenue. I want to thank the mayor and the council for recognizing the traffic light on Plainfield Avenue. Thank you. Secondly, since there's no parking in the front of Hubbard Middle School, the overflow is Now, just a suggestion, in the front of Public Middle School, there's a lot with trees. That can alleviate a lot of problems for the staff and the residents of Stella. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the school district is listening. We will have some conversation as well, because I suspect that there is a feeling that maybe it's employees of the school district that might be parking on the street. So we will have some conversations. I'm not sure what has led to the number of vehicles on the street in that area, but I do see those vehicles as well, since I live only a block away.
Okay, thank you. Question?
Hi, you're Sue All, President of the Historic District. I had a question on parking, and I'm not sure which department wants to take care of it, but I want to say thank you first for, on first, second, and third place, putting a no parking, like 50 feet from the corner and painting the stripes. It has greatly improved the visibility in the area, so you can turn out and see, cars that are coming down East 9th now. One of the other concerns in our area now is that has eliminated more parking spaces. So we're seeing residents now park on their front yard, which we utilize the recorded app and call the police department as well. And the other issue is, I know the council just passed an ordinance on commercial vehicles, but we also have a lot of vehicles that are roofing trucks, contractor trucks, big box vans that are parking on the streets, taking up big spaces that don't have commercial plates. So they're obviously a business truck, but they're using residential plates. Sometimes they're Pennsylvania, which doesn't even offer commercial plates. So it's a commercial vehicle, still parked on the residential street. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be done to alleviate that.
Yes, give me the locations again. Just in the area of first, second, and third.
Crescent Historic District, it's very densely populated, so first, second, and third place, East 9th and Crescent Ave. We have one side of the street parking, which council approved several years ago, which has helped EMS, snow plowing, all that stuff. But now, as we reduce parking, it's becoming tighter and tighter, and we have the contractor trucks with non-commercial plates. They're roofing businesses all over the side of the truck, taking up residential parking spaces. It becomes harder for people to park on the street.
Okay, I know there was a complaint in regards to vehicles parking on the front lawn of one of those residences over there. I sent out the patrol district on several days to address that. If it still hasn't been addressed, we'll go back out and look into that. In terms of the commercial vehicles that are parked out there, I will make sure that they are ticketed over the next several days. We will address that. Remember, we won't tow those vehicles, but we will ticket them. The fine is heavy enough that where they won't park there anymore, so that's the first step. If they don't comply, then we'll go to the next step. I didn't hear what you said.
Even if they don't have a commercial plate?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Question in the back?
Hi, Bill, I just had a couple of clarifications on what was presented before. One was, I understand the need for pilots and the benefit of pilots. And I also understand that it doesn't have an impact on how much money goes to the schools, but doesn't it have an impact in that if the developer gets a pilot that's not paying that school tax burden, then that might have come from taxes from the developer, is passed on to the rest of us who are property owners who are paying taxes. So we pay a larger share of that $27 million than we would if the developer were paying part of it. And the second question I have is with regard to the EMS response times, which look really good, but I was just as a numbers person looking at that, you mentioned that that's the average response time, whereas the other column said 90th percentile response time. So are those numbers really comparable, or is one average and the other is the 90th percentile?
So I will address the part that deals with the pilots. And there has long been a feeling that on the pilots, that the developers are not paying any taxes. I think that I demonstrated on the board that when there's a pilot, that the city actually collects more money than if we didn't have a pilot. So the answer, no, you're not paying more, to the school district because of the pilot. We are actually collecting in total at the municipality more money than we would have collected had that pilot not been in place. And so there isn't a burden that is handed off to you as a result of the pilot. The city is actually collecting more taxes, and the developers are not receiving what some may call a giveaway and not paying taxes.
Then just I'll sort of understand the tax. So then what we see as a city tax and a school tax on our tax bill is really just kind of an artificial distinction, because it's all city tax and the city pays from the city tax to the school district.
The city is collecting that 27 million that I showed you. The city is collecting that, and not all of it, because we don't have 100% tax collection rate. But that is handed to the school district each and every year. What we do get in place of that conventional assessment that is based on the value, the assessed value of the property versus the tax rate, what we get in place of that is that pilot payment, which when you look at those numbers that I put up on the board, the city is actually getting more money when we have these pilot agreements, because in the example that I cited, if we don't have that development, over 30 years, we would collect $1.3 million. Compared to if we provide that pilot, we're collecting $63 million. So it makes sense to eliminate blight and to generate additional revenues. The school district is going to get what it needs regardless, but the city is not, as a whole, getting less. We're getting more. And so it's better actually for the bottom line, because by generating those pilot revenues, we have more money to help subsidize our tax base.
So it doesn't affect our school tax rate.
The school tax rate will always be whatever that $27 million, when you do the calculation, the school tax rate will always be based on what the school has requested from the municipality. So the tax rate is based on that amount that is requested. But the point that I'm making is that the city collects more tax dollars as a result of the pilot. So in total, when you look at it holistically, we are in a better position when we have pilot payment in lieu of taxes. Not meaning, and I know you know the difference, but a lot of our residents believe that when we say payment in lieu of taxes, that it's a giveaway and the developers are not paying any taxes. And they could be nothing further from the truth. They're actually paying more taxes than they otherwise would be paying if that lot remained blighted as it were.
And thank you for your question, sir. If you want more follow-up after the meeting, just touch base with the administration. We have one in the back. Say your name and please stand up.
Good night, everyone. My name is Plainfield. First and foremost, I just want to thank all of you guys for the work that you have done and all of these new buildings that you guys are creating, especially this school. I've been a resident here, going to school here for a very long time. But my question is, and I wish a member of the board was here, is what is the plans that you guys have for the youth of this city? And how do you guys, what is the plan on helping those that don't have the resources to go to college and those that don't have the resources to go to trade schools? Like, are we going to be teaching those trades and those things in public schools? Like, that's my question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So you asked a couple of, in terms of recreation, We have invested millions and millions of dollars in transforming all of the recreational spaces across the city. So we do believe that our residents have a plethora of recreational opportunities, and we will continue to invest in our recreational spaces. We are also bringing to you, in a matter of 18 months, 24 months, the Center of Excellence, which will provide additional recreational opportunities. We also showed at the Rushmore Recreational Complex a state-of-the-art facility that is being brought to all of our residents of all ages to really provide that experience that can't be gotten in the other municipalities that surround us. Now, in terms of the other part of your question, Director Field will speak about a partnership that we are having with Kane University.
So we are working with Kane University to have a presence similar to Union College, where we're looking for them to locate at the South 2nd Street Youth Center, where they're going to offer non-traditional education. So looking at the trade skills, looking at advanced manufacturing, looking at cybersecurity. Also focusing on those that might not traditionally be college bound, but they can get other certifications there. We're also working with some of our general contractors, where we want to make sure that our residents are actually trained to work on some of the construction sites within the city. So we have from here, where our accelerator that's located on Watchon Avenue, it's reopening. They're going to be partnering with Union County Economic Development Corporation, as well as some of our other general contractors that have partnerships with the Department of Labor to train people. So making sure that we are investing in the training so the residents can actually help build the city with us.
Okay, thank you. We have one right here, and then we have one over here, one there,
We
and
have
then
Facebook.
time for a few more questions. We have Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Peter Ringley, Highland Avenue in Plainfield. And first of all, I'd like to give you all credit for the development projects that been undertaken in Plainfield and have been presented tonight as in the process. Specifically around the development and with all the construction going on, my question concerns how does the city plan to enforce the building and zoning codes, specifically with what is built matches what has been approved by zoning, and then specifically will you be adding any extra zoning officers to enforce those codes?
Sure. So what you're seeing is a combination of our land use ordinance as well as our redevelopment plan. So once we have a redevelopment plan in place, it supersedes our land use ordinance. In terms of enforcement, we have our zoning officers. We also have our professionals, where we have a board planner and a board engineer, that they enforce whether our land use code is our standard land use ordinance or looking at our redevelopment plan. Currently, we have one zoning officer, and we also have another certified zoning officer. We are also looking for training additional zoning officers to support the development moving forward. But absolutely every zoning regulation is enforced, whether they're building to redevelopment, bulk code standards, or they're building with our standard land use ordinance. They do not get a building permit without that. So under economic development, we start with our zoning office, our planning office, our economic development office. We also have our building and construction, and then we also have our code enforcement as well.
Okay, we have a question from Facebook.
Yes. How many of the new apartment buildings built are full to capacity to date?
Most of the apartments, they're not vacant. They are at capacity, or they are very close, whether we're looking at 100% affordable or market rate.
And contrary to what you may think, and that question might imply that these apartments are vacant. They are not. They are leased up as soon as they become available. And you may know that in New Jersey, and Plainfield is a part of that, there's some 200,000 housing units short, where people are looking for housing and they can't find it. And Plainfield is not an exception. And so there is a great demand, and the supply has not kept pace with the demand. And so we're not building these apartment buildings and they're vacant. They actually lease up as soon as they become available. And so there's a great need for housing on the part of the people of Plainfield and every city, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We have one more right here.
Anthony Howard, property owner, 515-5 Division. Question, Director Dagney, on the 911, you mentioned that residential call. Do we have the ability to text 911 at this point, and if not, so we have to that?
Do we have the ability to text 911?
Yes, the ability to text
Yes.
to 911.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. You can't text 911.
You can?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for a few more questions, so we have one in the back.
Hi, Janice Marsili, 1427 Marlborough Avenue. I have a question about the building directly across from the train station, Netherwood. That building has been empty for years. I mean, it's a nice building, it was all fixed up, but there's nothing going on there. We generally say it's because there's not much parking, but I often think, wow, you know, if there was a coffee place or something like that right across from the train station, it would be great, but it's just been empty for years. And the other area is the Muhlenberg apartments. I drive by there at night and it's dark, so I'm just wondering about saying that there's nothing empty, because we seem to see a lot.
So just want to clarify the difference in the types of spaces. So when we were responding to the apartment portion of the building. Definitely hearing what you're pointing out with the commercial spaces that are across from Netherwood Station, that tan building. We are currently working on a retail recruitment plan to make sure that once we have these apartments filled on the first floor, you may see that it's vacant with the commercial spaces. So this is where we want to put the coffee shops, the restaurants that are going in there. And it's an opportunity to look at some administrative spaces too. We are working on a plan to recruit an urgent care we would like to see in the city. We are looking at administrative spaces possibly with the school districts to take care of those spaces. So we are looking with our partners to see how we can fill those spaces, but I'm sure the mayor has something to add to that.
Yeah, and also you have to have a landlord who is willing to lease the space. I mean, I know of a number of people who have tried to lease the space across from the Netherwood train station, but you need a landlord who isn't sitting on it for whatever reason and who is willing to lease that space. Now, in terms of the Muhlenberg campus, the apartments are occupied. There is a large section of that campus that is commercial for medical services. And I think it was last year or the year before, we cut the ribbon on about 5,000 or so, I don't remember the exact square footage, but where about 5,000 procedures are being performed there on an annual basis. So the residential is full. And if you're at the courts late at night on the track, you will see that building is beautifully lit, the residential portion. Now there is a commercial portion where it still needs to be leased up for medical purposes. So the residential, doing very well.
Thank you, Mayor. Any more questions? Right here? We have two, right in the center. Lady in the back first. You. State your name and then ask your question.
Lonnie Taylor, Berkeley Terrace. Since you alluded to the track, Mayor Matt, I know that this falls, well, I believe it falls under the Board of Education, and it looks beautiful. But is there any thought to how residents can use the track and not disturb the beautiful fields and facilities for the youth? And have access to it maybe, like, and bathrooms from like maybe 6 a.m. to 8 or 9 p.m.? Is there any partnership with the Board of Education where that can be worked out?
We can certainly address that with the superintendent of the Plainfield Public School District. I know that the track is available. My wife and I, we've been on the track a few times, and like you say, it's a beautiful facility. There was a period of time when the gate to the track was closed because they were still doing some work. But we have been on there, we have used the track, and in terms of the turf field, I don't know what procedures are in place for the usage of that field. We have a number of turf fields across the city, but when you talk about using the facility, I know that the track is available to be used by our residents. I'm not sure if there's any other specifics that you have that we could help by taking those issues to the school district.
One follow-up, please.
Yes. What I mean is, are there going to be set hours for the track to be open? Because it's not open like it was prior to the renovation. And also, when you're on the track, you sometimes need to use the restroom. Thankfully, now there are porta potties. And I understand from someone with maintenance that one of the reasons that they close it so early is because they don't want people using the fields, which I understand we want to preserve those for the kids. So I was just asking if there could be something worked out where maybe like from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. or some time where it's easily accessible. Because at 6:30 it's closed, and if you work, it's hard to get, 6:30 p.m., excuse me, it's hard to get there. And they don't open until 7 a.m.
Well, that's a valid concern. We will take that to the superintendent. I can tell you that I can identify with what you're saying, because the last time my wife and I were there, we were there for about an hour and a half. I needed to use the restroom. I went, I pulled all the doors, and they were locked, and we had to make a hurried escape.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great question. Young lady right here, state your name and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Laura Hunt. I actually run into the same problem with the trash with my kids. They urgently need to be and have a bathroom. But I'm actually here to ask a question about the pilots, because I understand that the rules of the state are that they can last up to 30 years. But there's no requirement that they go to 30 years. And so I understand that there's a very black and white presentation that has gone out about no pilot versus yes pilot. I think there may be a middle ground there of maybe not such a long duration of the pilot. And I ask that because you've indicated that the school requests a particular amount of money for their budget, which is certainly true, and they are asking for $27 million a year because the overwhelming majority of their almost $300 million budget is coming from the state. But should we have a governor who decides that the funding structure needs to change, as has happened in the past, we could very well be left with a huge budget shortfall that then we will be looking at. And so I think it really is a question of how do we prepare for that potential eventuality, which feels, very likely, and how do we prevent that immediate need falling upon homeowners who, as you said, we do not get 100% tax payment, and most of the properties, as the last time I checked, are not actually owner-occupied. We have so many rentals, and it really does make a difference.
You said it really makes a difference.
So
I'm not sure that I'm following you.
So the question really is, how come all of our pilots are 30-year pilots?
They're not.
And
So I think the answer is they're not. We distribute both 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year pilots. So they're not just 30-year pilots. Oftentimes, we do not present to council the 5-year tax abatement because that's available by statute if you're in an urban enterprise zone or opportunity zone. We have had 10-year pilots, and we are going to be presenting 10 and 15-year pilots coming up to the council.
Thank you. I think it would help us, certainly as residents, to understand how many of these developments have gotten shorter-term pilots versus longer-term pilots. I think that would go a long way to helping people feel a little bit more comfortable about it. So I appreciate that clarification.
And I would just like to add that the reason we give these pilots is because we want to see a transformation to the blighted spaces, which would stay blighted without the pilots. And that's the incentive. The only incentive that the state has provided to municipalities is a pilot. And if we want to see these spaces, if you recall what South Avenue looked like before the pilots and other parts of the city where we granted pilots, the corner of South 2nd Street and Grant Avenue, that was a 5-acre blighted site that attracted all kinds of negative things that we didn't want to see in the city. The way we dealt with that, and the way I believe that we have to continue to deal with it, is to provide incentives so that we could get these blighted spaces developed. And that's the only reason we give pilots.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I also, in addition to state incentives, there are federal incentives, right? We have opportunity zones here, we also have numeric tax credit zones in our area. We are in a low-income district, if someone wants to put solar in a building where you have 30 and 40% HEC. Like, there are so many ways the developer can stack their financial, create their financial capital stack to take advantage of all those opportunities. It does feel to residents that maybe we are getting the short end of that stick if the developers are, able to get a really long-term credit. But I do appreciate hearing that there are many that are far shorter duration and having that information is helpful. So thank you.
So just to add on something else you said, you mentioned that these are renter occupied. We are focusing on now how to diversify the housing stock. So we're explicitly working with developers for redevelopment that's going to be for home ownership. Whether that home ownership is for single family homes, 2-family homes, or for townhomes, or actually for condos. So all of those are coming up in the redevelopment plans that we're looking at. So someone asked about our zoning standards and enforcing those. Things that we look at in redevelopment where as a part of zoning, a single family home, it has to be a minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. We're looking at reducing that to some of the smaller irregular sizes that we may own, where you can build a smaller starter home for sale. And we will work with the homeowner as well to make sure that they have incentives for the down payment and leveraging some of the federal funds that you mentioned, like home funds. And these are also leveraged with our affordable housing. We're looking at the capital stack for the developer.
Okay, thank you so much. Great question. We have time for 2 more, one in room and one Facebook. Let's go to Facebook first.
Okay, let's go to Facebook. Can they please provide a detailed outline of the community benefit for each pilot, disaggregating 5, 10, 20, 30, I assume in years? Ideally, residents should be able to see the length of each pilot juxtaposed with the exact community benefit amount.
So the community benefits, the pilots are identified in their public record for everyone that we bring to council. If we go back into the history of every pilot that we distributed, they actually go back to the 70s before our time. So I think we have to be a little more specific and we can give a range of the distribution.
And there's no secret to pilots. It's all very transparent. Every document is available to the public, whether there's a community benefit or not, because not every arrangement comes with a community benefit. There are any number of factors that go into whether or not we negotiate a community benefit. We are having discussions now about some of the types of homes, whether it's townhomes or condos. We are having those conversations now. And not every negotiation that we enter into will involve a community benefit. So it all depends on what's happening and the kind of project that is being presented and considered.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Neon Daniels Harris. I'm going to shift a little bit away from the title. So this is around safety. So there is a lot of bicycle riding that happens at night. And I'm curious if there's any program or a launch of a program in Plainfield to offer lights to put on bikes. I know other townships that have that initiative because it is a shoot across the street and could be a very dangerous situation on certain roads. And also, while I realize the Environmental Commission has been decommissioned, what are the entities within the city of Plainfield that are monitoring and communicating to the community around the health outcomes or ensuring their security measures for preventing the runoffs or changing air pollution or environmental conditions around Plainfield?
Thank you.
Okay, in terms of the safety part, in terms of bike lighting program, yes, we can do that. There is funds available for it. We'll work on that over the next couple of months and try to get that out. That's a great idea. Thank you.
In terms of the stormwater, so as a requirement of our land use, you have to have stormwater runoff provisions, no matter what type of development that you're doing, whether you're doing something to your house. So we are working on that. We do provide incentives as well. So this could be a part of an incentive that a developer does, is that they go the extra mile, for example, with bioretention bases that they can do. So we are looking at different sustainability factors.
Okay, thank you, Director Fields. Okay, folks, now it's late. We ran a little bit late, but we wanted to make sure that those questions got answered, not only online, but here in the room. If you hadn't had a chance to answer your question or you're a little bit shy, I recommend that you approach the administration, give a brief, stab at your question, and perhaps if there's not enough time to answer it, they'll get back to you via email or other means. But right now, I'd like to bring back up the mayor for closing remarks.
I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening and participating in this town hall meeting. Those of you who are present in the audience, those of you that are present via social media, we thank all of you. We know it is important to have a conversation with our residents from time to time. It gives us the opportunity to hear from you directly and to address your questions and concerns. Not all of the answers provided will necessarily be to your liking, but we try to be as forthcoming as possible and to be as transparent as possible. And there are things that we'll agree on, there are things that we will disagree on. But rest assured that the actions that we take are always intended to be in the best interest of the city at large. And we will never attempt to do anything that would not serve the best interest of the municipality. And so the partnership that we have with our school district has been in a very good place. We will continue to work on improving that day after day. We will continue to work with you to provide you with the services and with the answers that you need from us. And I invite any and all of you who have more specific questions. We are always available and our doors are open, so don't hesitate to call City Hall, send an email, a text message to arrange for a meeting so you can come in with the questions that you weren't able to ask this evening or get the answers that you were looking for. And I know we have 5 council members that are sitting up front, and they too are available to answer the questions that you have and to address your concerns in partnership with the administration. So again, I thank all of the members of the city administration who are here with us, and I thank all of you, our residents, for coming out. Thank you. May God bless each and every one.
Thank you to the staff who kept everything online and on track today. Have a good night, folks. Drive home safely.
And I want to thank our moderator for doing a wonderful job.